Alright, the next step is laying out your fabric and making sure that the top piece of fabric, the third of a yard, is going to be the same width as the 2/3 of a yard. And also, on this fabric, you'll notice that you can see the salvage edge. That's this white part right here. We need to cut that white edge off because if we don't, it will show on your pillowcase. At this point, we also want to visually inspect and see if we see any places where it's uneven. And this isn't too bad. There's just a few little nicks. If I can take my scissors and straighten that out, I may try to do that just to make it a little more smooth. And now what I want to do is I want to make sure that my fabrics are the same width the whole way across. And it looks like they are. And so what I'm going to do is slide down this shorter piece of fabric, the 1/3 of a yard, and I'm going to keep it open all the way like this. And then I'm going to place this fabric with the pretty side, we call that the right side. I'm going to keep the right side towards the right side. And I'm going to line up my edges all the way across. And you may have to lift it up like so to start this process.
You have to do that.
Good question, Connor. You have to do that because otherwise your pillowcase will not be even.
Bring out the pins.
Sometimes, with difficult fabric, it may be wise to just put a few pins in there to help it hold its shape. When we pin at one end, and then we go down to the other end and set a pin there as well, making sure that the edges are together and that we don't see one fabric. Like if we pinned it like this, this would be incorrect. Now that I've pinned one edge and I've pinned the other, I can pull my fabric tight and I can lift this one and put it in the middle as well. Now I can pin between my pins. The most important part of this whole process is that these edges are even. Thank you, Connor.
You're welcome.
Now I want to pin between my pins, continuing to adjust and pull the top. And there may be a lump or a bump that develops in this area. That's okay at this step. You can always lift up and slide the fabric back with your hands. Now we don't need a lot of pins at this step, just enough to make sure that our fabric is straight at the edge. Now what I'm going to do next is roll my fabric up. And I'm going to bring the pink part, the very bottom, up and over the top, kind of like a hot dog bun. And now what I'm going to do is undo this pin and bring this top piece of fabric back up so that it matches the edges. And I'm going to replace my pin. So when you look at it, we should see all 3 layers of fabric, the bottom, the middle, and the top. Now I'm going to go to the other end and do the same thing. I'm going to remove the pin, bring the bottom to the top, and set the pin. Now I can stretch it tight and do it in the middle. Always remember to move the pin. Now I'm going to go to the middle, just like I did before. Remove the pin. Make sure those are correctly straight. Pull the top one up. And set the pin.